Welcome back, everybody. It is June 25th.
Yes.
And welcome back to JOJ. I guess I actually should be at Lake St. Clair.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Hope y'all enjoyed last week's. The kids, they're always entertainment.
Yes, definitely a fun one. The title for today, I'm going to do the reading here to start with. The title for today is Accountable. And I did pre-read this one.
So he's more prepared, I
well,
guess.
I don't know about that, but you are.
Am I getting thrown under the bus? Let me ask.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, you help me be accountable.
Okay, that's good. Oh. What was that? What was that?
Okay, I need to start reading. The verse is from 1 Corinthians 4:2. It is required in stewards that one be found faithful. Taxpayers around the world are in a feisty mood.
Apparently.
They're demanding that civic leaders and public employees be accountable for managing the common good. They expect politicians and governments to be accountable to the voters. And they want teachers to be accountable for the success of students. Suddenly, taxpayers are coming to the realization that without accountability, there's little restraint in our world. Christ requires that his people be responsible also. Like the owner of a state who expects his employees to be good stewards of the things entrusted to them, God has given us time, talents, and treasures. Because we belong to him, we're stewards on his behalf. One day we'll be judged on the basis of our faithfulness with what has been entrusted to us. When we see Christ, we will show him what we have done with what he has given us. All that we have will be a meager offering to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But it will be accepted and blessed because we have been faithful with whatever talent or treasure he has entrusted to us. What a day that will be when we hear him say, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." And then the quote down here is from Francis Havergal. "True-hearted, wholehearted, faithful, and loyal, King of our lives, by thy grace we will be." So this one about being accountable, really of the things, especially the things that God has given us with, our time. And the little note down here I made, the 3 T's: time, talents, and treasures. That God has given us. Time is the obvious one. From the time we're born until we hope, as long as we're a believer in Christ, that we go to spend eternity with him. The days we have on this earth. Our talents, things that we're gifted in, whatever that may be. And then our treasures, I think, first of all, of our loved ones, and then, of any material type blessings that he has given us, really are kind of those 3 T's in our life. And, 2 of them, to me, we really have no control over what dose of those we get. Our time and our talents. I think of a lot of talents. You hear the word God-given talent a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
That's something I certainly think that we hear that some people have in some stuff and don't in others. I'll share a story on that of myself here in just a minute. But time is something we have no idea how much of it we have.
No.
The treasures we can work towards, or we can work away from, but the time is one we have no way to measure.
Yeah, and I think too, even with treasures, like you can have treasures that are not God focused, if that makes sense. To be careful of what your treasures are.
That's right.
I guess is where I was getting at.
Yeah, I think treasure. You can, if you want to measure it in a dollar value. Obviously, that's a easy standard to measure by. But that's really not the most treasured thing.
Oh no, worldly for sure.
Yeah, I think there's stuff that's, worth more to me than it would be the next person, or the next person, just whatever it is. Treasure is all relatable.
Yeah, and it's, of course, the title being accountable is, I think that's one of the big things. I don't know. I mean, you go through it, steps in your life as we're kids. Hopefully, our parents held us accountable for choices and things we did, or, then you come into relationships and you get married, and then so now you've got, you're supposed to hold me accountable, I hold you accountable. Then we have kids, and so then we get to be accountable for them.
Yeah, and they should be accountable to us.
Yeah.
We are.
But we have some voices over here.
Yeah, there's some extras in here today. Summer break. but yeah, and I think one thing is in friendships, is to have a friend that's going to hold you accountable.
Absolutely.
Or if you don't have, close friends, someone that you trust, a parent, aunt, somebody that's going to be like, okay, like,
well, you're making bad choices. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, 100%. So I think it's very, very important to have something to hold you accountable. And that's, God expects that out of us. Like He's very clear on how He wants us to live and, who we should be as Christians.
Yeah, absolutely. And that accountability, especially amongst friends or family or whoever, that can be a tough one because you want to, you love that person, you want to, you want to have a good relationship with them. So sometimes, pushing that accountability towards them, we're always like, we want somebody to tell us if we're messing up till they tell us.
Yeah, till they tell us, and we're like, who are you to tell me that? Like,
right.
You know what you're doing?
Right. So that's the juggling act with that. But we have to be willing to receive it, just as we are to give it. And you want that. That's the kind of true friendship. If you can have that with somebody, that is a true friend. Somebody that you can call out and say, hey, this is what you're doing is a bad choice here. It's a bad call. You should not be doing this. But whenever the shoe's on the other foot, you got to be able to accept those kind of, I don't want to say harsh words, but true words, from that person as well. With the talents, the one, obviously I like to fish, and
I'm kind of good at it.
I'm able to make my living that way. Something I know I'm not as good at, and I would not make my living at, is playing golf. I learned that well again recently on one of my off days down at Gunnersville. We got to go golfing with one of the guys from General Tire and Skeet and Edwin. The four of us went golfing, and it's evident. Yeah. I've got a lot better shot at making it fishing than I do golfing.
I asked him how he even got invited, and another guy dropped out. So
somebody else that was supposed to go got dropped out. So I was the last minute, last chance option to go golfing again. I had fun. I really did. I had a lot of fun. But I didn't lose as many balls as some of the other guys golfing. So
that's a plus.
Yeah.
But I think it's, whether we have good talents, bad talents, I think another very important, which we say very much to one of our children, you have God-given talent. He can take that God-given talent away.
Absolutely.
You should appreciate it and grow in it and be humble about it.
Be a good steward of it.
Yep. Use it for Him, not for your own self.
Yeah, not for your own, not to beat your own chest and say, "Wow, look at me, I'm this," or to hang that over other people. That's not what God gives us those talents for. It's not. It's to glorify Him and to point that back to Him. So, easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
If you're not a good steward with that. With any of these.
Yeah, with any of them.
And that's of the three, time is the tough one, and that's the one that it's hard to be a good steward of, I think, in some ways, and the one that I think once you get further along in life, you look back at it and you're like, man, I wasted a lot of time on this or that or whatever it may be. Time that you wish you would have spent, differently probably. So because you realize that it's the only one you can't get more of.
Yeah.
You can work harder at your talents. You can. I could even improve my golf swing if I wanted to put enough time in it. But we can always work harder at our job or whatever to try to have more, material treasures. We don't get any more time. It doesn't matter what you do. You get no more of it. So, being a good steward, being accountable of our time. Is a big one. No doubt.
Absolutely. So I think we'll end that today to just, use the time, talent, and treasures, to use those as blessings and to appreciate them for sure.
Absolutely.
Next week be July.
It'll be July.
So we are all going to be together and at home, so we'll do another live next week.
Yep.
and then we'll see what happens for the rest of the month.
Y'all have a good one.